Today is the big day. It is splashdown day for Artemis II, 10-day mission, 10 days around the moon for 4 astronauts. You can only imagine how their families are feeling. I always think about that when we talk about, just this. Okay, hold on. I have some producers talking in my ear. Okay, we also have a live look right now. Splashdown expected for 7:07 our time. I want to jump into this interview instead of me talking about it. I know a better person who could talk about it. NASA ambassador we have on the line with us. I'm just going to jump into our story right here. Tony Rice. Tony, are you with us? Hey,
I'm
Tony.
with you.
How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Doing great. It's a big day.
It is a big day. Can you first tell me, what does a NASA ambassador do? What does your day look like?
So it's a volunteer position I've been doing for about 10 or 15 years. And it started out really supporting a lot of the museums here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I am. And I got involved with some of our local broadcast meteorologists. That's how I got to know your own Kelsey there back when she was with WRAL. And today I continue supporting those meteorologists around the country and just help them understand what's coming up in space, astronomy events, and big events. I mean, this has been huge. This is like our Super Bowl many times over. Huge events like the Artemis mission. Yeah,
and it's cool to hear a little bit about that. And it's funny because yesterday when I was talking to Kelsey, you don't live here, so you wouldn't know, but Kelsey and I anchored together at 5 o'clock, and I was telling her, we really need someone on to talk about this splashdown. She's like, oh my gosh, I got a guy. So I have a guy. And so she was like, oh wait, I think I still have his phone number. So we really appreciate your time. Such a small world, but we appreciate your time and definitely your insight. What can we expect for tonight? We've talked about it a little bit, of course. It's going to get really hot. We've talked about how fast it's going to be as well. But just kind of walk our viewers through what we can expect to see come 7:07 our time here in Minnesota.
Yeah, so some things to look for there are going to be things like it all comes down to, and you talk about some of those speeds and some of those temperatures. It comes down to when that capsule hits the top of the top of the atmosphere. We call it atmospheric interface. It's going about 25,000 miles an hour. The challenge is to get it down to 0 miles an hour in a safe way, that we're able to land that capsule in one piece. And the way you do it, interestingly, is through the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is going to be peeling off most of that speed. When it splashes down, it's going to be going about 17 miles an hour. Most of that speed is going to come off of atmospheric friction. So if you take your hands, you put them together, rubber like that, it gets warm. That's happening because of friction. Same thing happens with the air. On the underside of the capsule is the heat shield. And we've heard some about the heat shield. We learned a lot about how that heat shield performs. It's called an ablative heat shield. That means that it's designed to peel away, slowly melt off as it's coming through the atmosphere at about 5,000 degrees. That's going to slow it down quite a bit. Once it gets slowed down to a point where the parachutes can finish the job of slowing it down the rest of the way to 17 miles an hour, there's going to be about 11 parachutes that are involved. So that's something to watch out for. Look for the smaller ones. Initially, there's going to be a couple of parachutes that are extended to do nothing but pop off some hatches and make it possible for the rest of those chutes to come out. Then come some drogue chutes that are there to get it going into the right direction and also pull out those 3 giant main chutes. Those are designed so if one of those chutes should happen to fail, it's still going to be able to land safely. But those parachutes are territorially important. You're going to be watching for those. Then once it lands, that's when the Navy starts helping out. And this is something that they've been training for many years. The U.S. Navy has a long tradition of helping out with these lunar missions. We think back to the Apollo program, when we've all seen the astronauts getting the ride up into the helicopter and heading back over to the ship. We're still doing it that way. The astronauts are going to be taken out one by one and brought back to a Navy ship for some medical test. But instead of picking up the entire capsule and taking it over to an aircraft carrier, we're not using an aircraft carrier now. We're using an amphibious ship. So it looks like an aircraft carrier on the top. We can land the helicopters there, but underneath is a well deck. And this is so cool. Think about the last time that you drove over a bridge that had kind of a grating to it.
Yeah.
That's what that well deck looks like. It can raise and lower out of the water. So the other thing those Navy divers are going to do after they help the astronauts hook onto that capsule. We'll have a way to attach to it, and they're going to winch that capsule into the well deck. It's going to float in. They're going to lift the deck up, and it's going to be high and dry, ready to be inspected. And that's an important part of it. We want to look over not just the astronauts. There's lots of health tests that are going to be done, so we understand what this kind of a space flight does to the human body. But we're also going to be looking over that capsule, making sure it's ready for Artemis III and Artemis IV.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. It gives us a good perspective, especially when you put it in that way. Tony, I'm not sure if you can see what we're looking at also on our screen, just kind of, some of this NASA shot that we have up here, because I was just going to ask you, what exactly are we looking at? For those who may, we can't assume that people are super into, NASA and science and know the ins and outs, and I think you do a great job at explaining it. But those who may go, let me click on the live picture and see what's going on. So if they're doing that now and they're looking at what we are looking at, what are we seeing? What's happening?
So we're seeing more of what the crew did yesterday. And that's basically preparing for the splashdown. They're probably making last-minute checks. There's lots of conversations that are going back to mission control. This very setup, they had a mock-up of it at the press center down at the Kennedy Space Center. I was fortunate enough to be down there for the launch last week. Just an incredible experience. So was the traffic getting out of there. I was not the only one who was just literally 4.5 hours to get back to Orlando for some people.
Wait, okay, hold on. Wait, pause for a second. How long did it take you to get out, and how long would it have typically taken you to get back where you needed to go?
So I was staying in Cape Canaveral. This isn't my first rodeo, so I've seen what the traffic can be like, and just the interest in human spaceflight is so much greater. The local towns and such down there, they closed down some of the bridges to allow pedestrians on them. Wow. And some of the pictures of just the thousands of people streaming off there are amazing. It took me 30 minutes to go from where I was staying in Cape Canaveral, which is just south of the port there, if anybody's ever cruised out of Port Canaveral. It takes me 30 minutes to get from there up to the giant vehicle assembly building and the press site right there. It took me 2.5 hours to get back there.
Wow.
I was talking with somebody who worked in a museum there locally, who knows the area, has been to these kind of launches many times. She was smart enough to wait at work. She works at KSC until 10:30 before she left. And then she went and got some dinner in Cocoa Beach, just south of there. Think I Dream of Jeannie. That's that's where that took place. And then didn't leave until closer to 11 or so. She got home at 4:30 in the morning.
What?
Yeah, that's how. There's 1 or 2 roads out of there, so that's one of the big struggles.
Yeah.
But there's so much interest in this. That's one thing that'll stick with me.
Which has to be great for you to see. Like you're really into it, but to see other people,
100%.
really into it at this point, and maybe people who weren't interested at first, but now it's like, okay, we have this historic mission. We have,
And I think we could all use a break too. There was a couple, the first in there, the first Canadian to the moon, first person of color, the first woman. Just there was a lot to hang our hat on as really, really positive things. But what we're looking at right here in the press center, where most of the international press was working, hundreds of press. I lost count of the number of languages that I heard spoken there. It was really cool to see. I had long conversations with Sky TV in the UK. The Canadians were there in force since they had one of their own going there. Next to me at the press site was somebody from Mexico City. It was just we were all nerding out too. And for many of us, that wasn't our first launch either. But sitting there was a mock-up of this right here. And you see those screens. Those screens are dynamic, but it's really cool how they have them set up. Along the side, they've got touch buttons that change things on the screen. The screens aren't necessarily touchscreen, but they got buttons along the side that change contextually. Okay. The neat thing is they're designed to be used with gloves on. So they think of all of these kind of things to make sure that they're very, very useful. But what you're seeing right here is the commander and the pilot doing those last-minute checks, making sure that the vehicle is going the right direction. And Orion is actually flying sideways right now, believe it or not. And the reason for that is the solar panels are on the back side, so it's got to be facing the sun. So one of the last things they're going to do is reorient that spacecraft so that it's facing a direction towards the atmosphere, so that the heat shield is into the atmosphere and can accept all of that heat.
Oh, and you mentioned the heat shield. How do you kind of conceptualize what that will look like, feel like for the people who are watching?
So I've seen some images from Apollo, and that's one of the really cool things about Artemis is we're getting such better images now. The technology's better. We know what to look for. Some of the images of the moon are really, really cool. I'm hoping to see some cool images out the windows during that reentry phase. We're actually going to lose contact with the astronauts for about between 4 and 6 minutes.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, the plasma is going to build up around the edge of the spacecraft because of that incredible speed and that incredible heat. Radio waves can't make it out through that plasma. That's what's happening. So they're going to be feeling that. It's a pretty rough ride. It buffets you a lot, from what I understand. The actual feeling of splashdown, I think the best way to compare it is a low-speed car crash. So, like a bumper crash. Again, 17 miles an hour, that's not nothing when you hit another car. But they're all strapped in. That's what they're going to be working on here in the next couple of hours ahead of splashdown. You see some of the other mission specialists. Christina Cook, who we're terribly proud of here in North Carolina. She went to NC State. She's a native of North Carolina. I understand she was born in, I believe, Michigan, but she spent most of her time here. She went to our School of Science and Math. So she's been a bit of a celebrity around here, especially what's going on. You can see her milling around there. She's stowing things, all the things that they took out during the mission just to live their lives over that 10 days. And they were also doing a number of science experiments. So they're getting everything stowed and ready for splashdown tonight. Yeah,
and I imagine the precision has to be, because I think I read something, I think it was on the NASA website of, the final minutes are just, you have to get everything right. Everything has to be really precise for landing, and I imagine some of the little things, which in those terms are sort of big things when talking about a safe landing.
And all of this has been rehearsed. It was rehearsed even before the Artemis I mission. So we might forget that we've done this once before, but not with a crew aboard. There were mannequins, they called them moonikins, and they were there they were fully instrumented. They were there to test the stresses on the astronaut's body, so we were prepared for that. So we've actually done a complete splashdown there with this same ship that the Navy is providing, and they're providing their divers. So they're going to be doing things the same way. But even before that, mock-ups, or we call them test articles or boilerplates, have been splashed down over and over again in a facility up in Virginia, in Hampton, Virginia, at the Langley Research Center, which was actually the first NASA site. It wasn't in Florida, it wasn't in Houston, it was there. So they're reusing a facility that was originally designed for the Apollo program to simulate lunar gravity. It would pull 5/6 of your weight off of you to be able to practice spacewalking. And they also, very important, practice landing using that, they call it the gantry. We literally slung Orion capsules into this giant 20-foot deep pool of water in different configurations to make sure that it would land the way we want it to. But if it doesn't land the way we want it to, that you'll notice that this is another thing you should look for tonight: 5 giant orange airbags at the top. The purpose of those is if it lands upside down, and that can happen if it comes in at the wrong angle, that it flips itself right side up automatically, and those hatches aren't underwater, and the communications arrays aren't underwater, and the windows aren't underwater.
Yeah. So Tony, we've talked about, what's going to happen tonight, also what has kind of led up to tonight. I kind of want to talk a little bit about what we can expect from now on, right? Because I just want to know what you think scientists will be looking at. Like, once we have, a safe landing, what would the conversations be like from here on out?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, this is a test. It's kind of like a test drive when you go out and buy your new car. And it's that chance for them to check out all of the systems that are on board, to check out the procedures, not just for the astronauts, but everybody involved. It takes many, many people to get a mission like this off the ground and back safely. So it's checking those sorts of things out. But there's also some science that happened on board, particularly life sciences, particularly understanding what happens to those astronauts while they're out there. We've been in low Earth orbit with the International Space Station for 25 plus years. That's inside what's called the magnetosphere. It's a protective bubble around the Earth that protects us from radiation. The Artemis mission and the Orion capsule are about getting us back to the moon, and that's what's planned for Artemis III. We'll test some of the equipment that we'll use to the lunar landers to get us down to the surface. Artemis IV will actually take us to the lunar surface. But let's remember that Orion is there to get us to the moon. So this Artemis II mission is about preparing for that. Each one of these things iteratively builds upon each other to make sure that we're ready. So those astronauts went outside the magnetosphere for the first time in over 50 years. This hasn't happened since Apollo. So there's dosimeters that are on board. They're measuring the amount of radiation that was being placed on the capsule. They're going to get their health checkouts for that. They're going to get their health checkouts for being away from Earth's gravitational influence that much farther away. These are all things that have to be checked out. I'll tell you one test I'm hoping they can do as quickly as possible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I want them to measure the astronauts' height, like as soon as they get down on Earth, because it's been documented, again, aboard station, that you actually grow by an inch or two, depending on your height. Yeah, it's because those the tissues between your vertebrae, they expand because they're not having the Earth's gravity push down on them. It's a very temporary condition. So if you're short and you wish you're a little bit taller, you don't go thinking the astronaut corps is going to solve that problem for you. It reverses itself. But I'd be really curious to see if 10 days in space, just how much your spine stretches out.
Tony, call your people and tell them. Do the height check as soon as they land. Man, oh my gosh, Tony Rice, I really appreciate this conversation. Very fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for your time. I know what you're doing this weekend. I know what you're doing tonight, at least. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at home.
Okay.
That's the great thing about this. I can bring it up my computer, while I'm working on other things. I can have a live stream, as you do here, inside the capsule and watch what they're doing. NASA has done some great things with, they call it Arrow, Artemis something. Web something. We speak in acronyms, so I never know what things stand for. But it was giving live telemetry back so you could see how fast it was going, how far it was from the Earth, how far it was from the moon. And it's all hyper accurate. Even the position of the spacecraft, which way it's pointing, that's all very, very accurate. We're able to see this stuff live now and get these kind of pictures 24/7. We really got spoiled with the cameras on the side of the rockets through SpaceX and some of the other launch providers. So people expect that now. So we can absolutely sit in our easy chairs at home and watch the splashdown. Yeah,
sit back, relax, get your snacks ready. It's the NASA Super Bowl happening tonight. Tony Rice, NASA ambassador. We are going to keep you on the line at some point when we talk about science and NASA again, because this has been such a great conversation. So thanks again.
Anytime. I love talking about this.